taking maternity leave. Former First Lady Hillary Clinton recounts her quest for work-life balance and the peculiarities she found in being pregnant at a law firm.
And trick-or-treating safely. It's not just for the kids. The warning for anyone hitting a road this Halloween and the increasing culprit behind DUIs.
Plus the demand to work, the #1 issue this coming election, and a few bright spots for those hoping to get out of the unemployment line.
Now, Nevada's first choice for news. This is Channel 8 News Now at 4.
Good afternoon. The most important issue to voters that we've been talking to is jobs.
In a recent 8 News Now Las Vegas Review Journal poll, it ranks as the top issue by a long shot. 52% feel that way, followed by health care at only 12%, and the federal debt. Clearly, people want their elected officials to concentrate on creating jobs the most.
Our poll also shows Republican Congressman Joe Heck leading Democratic challenger John O'Seguera 50 to 40% among likely voters. This is for the 3rd Congressional District.
The Survey USA poll had a margin of error plus or minus 4.5%. Now, Heck enjoys a higher favorability rating than O'Seguera.
The same people who say that jobs is the most important issue this election also say Heck is more in touch with the average working person, but there are still, of course, plenty of people who are out of work.
And with so many people still struggling to find work, are there any signs that the job market is recovering?
Reporter Cassandra Garcia live at the intersection of Blue Diamond Road and Rainbow Boulevard. Hundreds of jobs, we're told, coming to that specific area. Cassandra?
Well, that's right. Walmart announced this week that this land will be the site of a new Walmart Supercenter. It will be 170,000 square feet and bring about 300 full and part-time jobs. This is just one of the bright spots for many people who are unemployed and looking for work. Brian Gordon with Applied Analysis tells us the job market is showing positive signs, especially when it comes to leisure and hospitality. Tourism has increased in southern Nevada since the height of the recession, and with more visitors comes the need for more jobs. Gordon says hotel and gaming companies are once again feeling comfortable to add staff back in.
And what we've seen over the past 15 consecutive months is year-over-year increases in the overall employment. So that's a positive sign that things are moving in a right direction.
Gordon says other industries like construction, health services, education, and retail are also seeing the same trend. But of course, not everyone agrees. Coming up tonight at 5, we'll talk to people who've been struggling to find work and see what they think. Cassandra Garcia, 8 News Now.
Cassandra, I mean, right now it's just a big dirt lot. Any idea how long it's going to take for Walmart to actually open and be completed?
Well, Walmart says it's going to take anywhere from 10 months to a year to complete. That's after groundbreaking takes place. No word yet on when that's going to happen.
Be a nice shot in the arm, that's for sure. All right, thank you.
In the race for the White House, there are just 12 days left until the election. President Barack Obama left Las Vegas last night on his whirlwind tour through 8 states, and Mitt Romney is zeroing in on the battleground state of Ohio. The president cast his vote in his home state of Illinois, becoming the first president to early vote in history. But he started his day with a donut run in Florida, and then he was in Virginia by noon. After voting, the night will end in Ohio. The state is so important that Mitt Romney stayed put there all day. We've heard a lot this campaign season. No Republican has won the White House without winning Ohio.
This election is therefore a big choice, and America wants to see big changes, and we're going to bring big changes to get America stronger again.
We've got to go forward with the policies that are getting us out of this mess, and that's why I'm running for a 2nd term.
President losing his voice with all the appearances he's been making. He picked up an endorsement from Republican Colin Powell. And with early voting up and running across the country, the U.S. Elections Project says more than 7 million Americans have already cast their ballots.
Now, while children not old enough to vote, they do learn a lot about the electoral process in school.
So we've teamed up with Kids Voting of Greater Las Vegas to allow all students in the Clark County School District a chance to vote for who they think should win. If you're a student and want to take part, simply go to 8newsnow.com and use the keyword Kids Voting. We'll air the results of the student election during this newscast on election night.
Las Vegas slowly but surely moving from being referred to as the foreclosure capital of the country. We're now, by the way, at 25th in the country, according to the tracking firm Realty Track for the third quarter. That is down 31% from a year ago. It means that 1 in every 139 housing units in our city saw some sort of a foreclosure filing. As for the top of the list, cities in our neighbor to the west, California, now fill the top 7 foreclosure cities.
The state Supreme Court has decided that Clark County's process for reviewing officer-involved deaths is unconstitutional. Their decision, which we learned of just before noon today, says the coroner's inquest does not infringe on the due process rights of officers, but a requirement that justices of the peace preside over the hearings exceeds constitutional limits. Only the legislature can determine the jurisdiction of a justice of the peace. The coroner's inquest process has been on hold since 2010 amid legal challenges. The county tried to reform the process for investigating officer-involved incidents after complaints by the victims' families that they were not represented in the inquests. Police have said they wouldn't participate in the new format.
Halloween now just around the corner. Hundreds of officers across the county planning to put a little bit of overtime, though, working to pull over drivers who are under the influence.
And more troubling, officers now see a new threat. More drivers combining the use of alcohol and prescription drugs. Lauren Rosella is live near Sahara Town Center, where a drunken driver hit and killed a little girl last year. Lauren?
Denise, Paul, 12-year-old Faith Love was trick-or-treating right here in this area when a driver missed a curve and hit her. Investigators say 41-year-old Justin Carmenica admitted to using prescription drugs and alcohol. He was arrested and charged with DUI resulting in substantial bodily harm. Both Clark County authorities and advocates say just because you're prescribed a drug by a doctor does not mean you should drive with it.
They think because they were taking prescription drugs, a prescription that was prescribed by a doctor, that they really shouldn't be there for a DUI. But they have to understand that whether it's alcohol, illicit drugs, prescription drugs, if that impairs your ability to drive safely, that's DUI.
Yes, you can be arrested and subjected to the same penalties as an alcohol-related DUI driver if you've taken your prescription med.
Carmenica was actually arrested again in late September for failure to drive within the marked lines and driving on a revoked license. Now, these increased patrols by officers all over Clark County will start this Halloween and will go all the way until the new year. Officers say they will be pulling people over for any and all traffic infringements. For now, reporting live, Lauren Rosella, 8 News Now.
Lauren, we understand those officers are actually giving special training in order to spot people who might be using prescription drugs. Can you tell us how that's going to work?
Yeah, now officers are now trained to spot the use of narcotics and also sleep meds as well as pain pills, which is what Carmenica admitted to using before getting behind the wheel and killing Faith Love. Now, officers do say that using prescription meds or not, a DUI can run you as high as $13,000 by the end of the case. I'll send it back to you guys.
Very expensive and very dangerous.
For sure, yeah.
Easy decision, right? Well, the Bahamas are being blasted with winds from Hurricane Sandy. They're powerful, around 100 miles per hour right now.
Yeah, in fact, this video showing it's really just stirring up things in Miami right now. Sandy's threatening to become a superstorm that could turn Halloween into a real nightmare. Danielle Nottingham is in Melbourne, Florida.
The outer bands of Hurricane Sandy are hitting Florida's Atlantic coast with powerful waves, gusty winds, and heavy rains. Streets are flooded near Miami, and officials are warning surfers to stay out of the water in Fort Lauderdale.
You just get tossed around out there, really severe rip currents.
Up the coast in Melbourne Beach, residents are preparing for tropical storm force winds and flooding as the offshore hurricane moves north Thursday night and Friday.
As we're speaking, I'm filling sandbags.
Forecasters are calling Sandy a Frankenstorm because it's threatening to become a monster hybrid storm that could pound the East Coast right before Halloween. Sandy should travel up the coast over the weekend, possibly collide with rain from the west and cold air from the north.
We could be looking at a nor'easter/hurricane situation with heavy snow, storm force winds, and potentially a lot of power outages. Coastal flooding could be widespread as well.
The storm is expected to come ashore between Maryland and Long Island, New York, dumping rain for days. A government forecaster predicts it will make landfall somewhere in New Jersey on Tuesday morning. Sandy could affect millions of people on the East Coast and cause about $1 billion in damages. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Indian Harbor Beach, Florida.
And that storm has already claimed the lives of at least 2 people when it barreled through Jamaica, Haiti, and Cuba. When we think of national leaders in politics, we often think seriously.
Of course, but that was not entirely the case this morning when Secretary of State and former First Lady Hillary Clinton shared a story about her pregnancy. While
at an inaugural event for National Work and Family Month, she described in detail what it was like to be a pregnant woman in a law firm. She was already the only woman.
I would walk down the corridor getting more and more pregnant. And the men in the firm would look away, never say a word. And I just kind of thought, I'm just going to wait to see if anybody says anything to me about, the fact that I'm going to have a baby.
Ms. Clinton went on to say when one of her partners called to say congratulations, he immediately asked when she was coming back to work.
And her response was, quote, maybe in 4 months, end quote.
A delicate balance.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Delicate balance now and much more of a delicate balance back then. Guiding you home. The work week nearly over as folks head home on this Thursday. Ken Smith above the Las Vegas Valley. He's at I-15 Sahara.
And art imitates life. How actor Leonardo DiCaprio's affinity for all things green is popping up at Madame Tussauds.
Prostitution.
Like most people, I don't like it.
Evading law enforcement. Until now.
One would assume that they're hiding some money.
An I-Team exclusive. Insider secrets of the outcall business. Today at 5 on 8 News Now. Nevada's first choice for news. This is Channel 8 News Now at 4.
Borrowing from the phrase, what happens here stays here, celebrities often come to play in Las Vegas, but some actually stay here.
In fact, you can walk right up to them at Madame Tussauds at the Venetian. One celebrity in particular, though, has a pretty unique claim to fame. Sherry Swentz tells us more about him in today's Living Green.
It's Leonardo DiCaprio, who is an avid environmentalist in real life. His figure arrived at Madame Tussauds this summer, more true to form than you might imagine.
Mr. Gatsby would like to speak to you.
Great Gatsby. You'd swear you're looking into the real face of the Leonardo DiCaprio.
It's so natural, really. I think that he's in front of me. It's amazing.
And actually, this popular actor's wax figure is more real and natural than the room full of celebs he parties with at Club Tussauds. The disco lights hang over the likes of Bradley Cooper, Eva Longoria, and Will Smith, just a few among the hundreds of famous figures which have all been carefully crafted with the same high-quality traditional wax process. But Leo, like his real-life twin, is proudly eco-different.
We used organic pigment to produce the coloring on the figure. And this isn't usually done, but we wanted to make sure that, in honor of his environmental efforts, that we were honoring him as, as a true environmentalist.
General Manager Rosita Chapman thinks Brad Pitt and George Clooney are a little green with envy. From the inception, plans for Leo included planet-friendly natural clay and beeswax materials. Artists worked with their hands under natural daylight to save electricity. They even traveled to and from work via public transportation or bicycle. Then all leftover materials were recycled. It sounds like a titanic undertaking, but artists stayed on schedule and on budget.
I think it's one of those very unique facts that people would find very, very interesting and entertaining.
Let's hope Madame Tussauds will go on putting the environment in the spotlight, just like their wax stars.
I kept trying to get him to put his arms around my waist, but he wouldn't do it. Catch Leo if you can at this weekend's After Dark Halloween event at Madame Tussauds, Las Vegas. The entire attraction is turning into one big haunted house of both wax and live spirits. Ooh, it's 9 p.m. to midnight, October 26th through the 28th. You can go to my blog page for more information, 8newsnow.com. Type in the keyword green.
I think Sherry's in love.
Sherry's adorkable.
The way she was looking in his eyes.
Longingly.
Yeah. Darren, that's how you know you've really made it. When Madame Tussauds makes a wax figure.
Say that, yeah. Sure. So maybe in the future, you, Paul, maybe, we'll see if you guys get to that point as far as having some.
They're very expensive, too.
They probably are, yes. All right, so weather outside, again, is absolutely beautiful. A third day in a row with temperatures unseasonably cool. We have to talk about a lot of wind that's heading our way off and on all again to force tomorrow. And we also talk about Hurricane Sandy. So I'll step out of the way. Absolutely stunning out there. Normal high now is 77 degrees. And look at these numbers outside. We're looking at about 5 to 10 degrees below normal out towards the strip. Current temperature only 68 degrees. The high yesterday was 72. Maybe a little bit cooler today here in the valley, and even cooler, we think, tomorrow for Friday. So Lake Mead, 74. East Washington, you're at 73. East Flamingo, 74. So there are some mid-70s out there, but there's a lot of upper 60s and lower 70s as well. West Flamingo, you're at 69. Silverado Ranch, you're at 70. Down towards the boulevard, Las Vegas Boulevard at 70. You head out towards the east there. Bunkerville, you're at 72. A lot cooler down towards Searchlight and Pahrump. You're in the mid to upper 60s. Beatty, you're at 65. And then again, the top of Mount Charleston, nice and cool. The current temperature at 43 degrees. All right, so here we go. Highs today kind of hovering in the mid to lower 70s. We think it'll be cooler tomorrow, and with that, very windy. If you're thinking about heading down towards Lake Mead, Lake Havasu, there'll be a red flag warning in effect from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. with very low humidity. Winds out the north gusting up near 45 miles per hour. A wind advisory in effect as well, all the way from, you can see from Henderson all the way down towards Laughlin along the lake there, because high pressure is strengthening up towards the north, tight pressure gradient, and that kicks up the wind. So here's a look at the pressure, the wind cast in motion. You see the colors here, all those reds and oranges and greens. Those are winds out of the north, gusting up your 25, 30 miles per hour, and especially all the way down towards the lake. All right, let's talk about Hurricane Sandy right now. It's a Category 2 hurricane, winds of 105 miles per hour. If you're heading anywhere over towards the East Coast, though, in the next 4 to 5 days, it's heading up towards the north. It's going to clash with a cold front back towards the west here, and that's the concern, that with all that moisture, we're going to see some flooding, very high winds, and with that, the potential for maybe even seeing some snow in the East Coast next week. All right, back here at home, we'll drop down to about 51 tonight, clear and breezy. Winds out of the north at 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting up near 25. Tomorrow, we think, will be only actually a little bit cooler than today, with highs in the upper 60s, so that's 10 degrees below normal. Winds out of the north at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Maybe tomorrow, the last really cool day in the 7-day forecast, because high pressure builds right back in for Saturday at 74, and then all of next week will be absolutely perfect with lots of sunshine, highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s, and the perfect forecast for Halloween on Wednesday, forecasting a high of 80 with overnight lows in the mid-50s. So we got a lot of wind tomorrow. If you're thinking about going and doing some boating, choppy waters tomorrow, red flag warning in effect, maybe tomorrow down towards the lake, maybe taking a break because it will be very, very windy down to the south tomorrow. And we got to talk about this hurricane, a monster hurricane heading up towards the East Coast. That's crazy at this time of year. The Frankenstorm, yes. We'll see what happens with that.
Scary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Ken Smith is in Chopper 8 for us.
He's out near Las Vegas Boulevard and Silverado Ranch. Apparently an accident has just cleared out there. Ken?
Yeah, the exit just cleared off into the parking lot. No Frankenstorm of traffic here, at least along this stretch of Silverado Ranch at Las Vegas Boulevard. It was earlier in the middle of the street, but here it is within the last few minutes. It all got moved off into this parking lot of the Shell gas station, and you can see a couple of fire trucks and also the ambulance are on the scene. They're attending to somebody that was injured here in the vehicle down here below us. We got bigger issues, though, or bigger fish to fry, if you will, on Frank Sinatra. This is going to be on the northbound side of Frank Sinatra, just north of Flamingo, right at the back entrance of Caesar's Palace. A stalled box truck there. The 3-square food bank truck actually stalled out, blocking the right-hand lane. There's only 2 lanes there, and you're pretty much just trapped in that area. So if you're going to be going northbound on Frank Sinatra, you do not want to do this, because it's just a heavy delays. It just goes on and on and on, all the way back to the Bellagio arch sign, all the way underneath Flamingo, and all the way to Caesar's Palace. Your travel times along Interstate 15, bit of a busy one this afternoon. And you're going to find from the 215 to the Spaghetti Bowl, you're going to find about a 12-minute drive time there. The other direction really not as bad, at least so far this afternoon. Reporting live down here in the southern end of the valley, I'm Ken Smith, 8 News Now.
All right, Ken, thank you. The fattest cat we may have ever seen is losing weight.
The pounds that Skinny has dropped since we first learned about the feline, told you about it, and the unhealthy human diet that his veterinarians believe Skinny was eating every day.
Now, Nevada's first choice for news. This is Channel 8 News Now at 4.
Remember that particularly obese cat we showed you earlier this year? His name was Skinny.
All right, well, Skinny was far from skinny, weighed 42 pounds. When the cat first showed up at the animal shelter outside of Dallas, vets thought it was a female. Now it's clear he's a boy. He's lost 5 pounds, by the way, thanks to his nice diet. Skinny has his own little apartment, complete with a TV and a fan, and his new home. It's called the East Lake Pet Orphanage. Dr. Brittany Barton believes to get as big as he is, Skinny the cat must have been brought up on a diet that is very unhealthy, even for people.
I suspect that someone was probably sharing their pizza and cake. Look at his wrists and look at his ankles. They shake under his weight. And so he has to move very quickly in short spurts.
Oh, poor Skinny. Dr. Barton doesn't expect Skinny will ever live up to his name, but he may just be happy and healthy. By the way, Skinny has his own Twitter account, more than 500 followers. He's so popular that at the pet orphanage, people sign up and volunteer just so they can sit and pet little Skinny. Some great news for a little Chihuahua in Florida. The animal was seriously hurt in a fall. His owner wanted to help him, of course, and now this tiny little dog is on the mend thanks to a very generous donation. The dog fell from an apartment balcony in Miami after the people who were watching him accidentally left the door open. Miraculously, Nuna survived the fall, but his hind legs were paralyzed. Nonprofit organization Tico's Pocket, which helps pet owners with medical bills, reached out to a California man who makes wheelchairs for dogs. And now Nina has his own new set of wheels and he gets around just fine.
Nice.
Military dog in Afghanistan was given Britain's highest honor for animal bravery. This is actually a photo of Teo and his handler, Lance Corporal Tasker. They specialize in finding roadside bombs. Teo was posthumously given the Dickin Medal today in London. Tasker was killed last year in a firefight with insurgents, and Teo survived, but then hours later, he suffered a fatal seizure, probably, they think, because of all the stress. So the British Army arranged for the pair to fly home together, and today he was the 28th dog to be given that award.
Wow, that's something. Coming up, raising awareness.
Today at 4:30, the mission of one young boy to highlight breast cancer on the football field, and the one Sunday game, you'll see his work really pay off.
Promising sex for money.
That's prostitution.
And evading law enforcement. Until now.
I've seen firsthand the steps to hide this from other people.
An I-Team exclusive.
He kept 2 sets of books.
A high-level insider exposing secrets of the outcall business.
One would assume that they're hiding some money.
How they lure customers, the danger it brings, and the prominent strip club owner trying to take them down.
Directly, I haven't been threatened as of yet.
Today at 5 on 8 News Now.
The rising lava flow, the perk for tourists traveling to the Hawaiian Islands, and the opportunity they'll have to see the glow.
And hoping for open roads. The lack of signs, closures, and detours driving a viewer crazy. And the project that's supposed to make things easier.
Plus, sports betting ring busted. We're closing on the local connection to this multi-million-dollar bust, the charges and penalties a prominent Las Vegas man now faces.
Now, Nevada's first choice for news. This is Channel 8 News Now at 4:30.
A massive sports betting ring spanning 5 states has been brought down, and authorities say that ring has ties to Las Vegas.
Millions of dollars have been seized, and a prominent Las Vegas gaming executive has been arrested. Reporter Joe Bartels is live at the M Resort with the details. Joe?
Yeah, Denise and Paul, Mike Colbert is an executive with Cantor Gaming and the head of the sportsbook here at the M Resort. Colbert, including 8 other men, were arrested in this nationwide sweep here. Authorities from local, state, and federal agencies worked together for more than 15 months on this. 25 people, including 8 local men, were indicted by a New York grand jury in this case. The feds say this sports betting ring involved various offshore websites, including pinnaclesports.com. The owner of that website, Brant England, is listed as a Las Vegas resident. But Nevada gaming regulators say the most surprising part of this case was the arrest of Mike Colbert, a high-ranking executive with Cantor Gaming, one of the most respected gaming companies in the country. Authorities say Colbert, seen here in a previous interview, was one of the agents in this scheme. They say he was recruiting people to wager sports bets in exchange for a cut of the profits.
The
bookmaking operation itself involves bookmakers at the top. It's kind of a pyramid. Bookmakers at the top, and then you have money collectors in the middle and agents who recruit bettors at the bottom.
Investigators have seized more than $7 million in cash and gambling chips. The charges range from money laundering to conspiracy, corruption, and fraud. Each of the suspects face up to 25 years in prison if convicted. Cantor Gaming is not involved in any way with this case. Colbert and the other 7 Las Vegas suspects will be in court and are expected to face extradition back to New York, and Colbert is expected to be back in court next week. Reporting live, Joe Bartels, 8 News Now.
Joe, does this case affect the push to legalize online gaming?
Authorities say they don't expect anything at this point here. They say this is just another example of the rampant, unregulated gambling that's already going online right now.
Joe Bartels, thanks for that. As we said, less than 2 weeks until Election Day, and according to the latest 8 News Now RJ poll, State Assembly Speaker John Oseguera has some ground to make up on incumbent Joe Heck. In a survey of more than 500 likely voters, Congressman Heck had 50% support compared to 40% for Oseguera. The poll has a margin of error of 4.5%. We asked recently both candidates what should be done about the tenuous situation in Iran.
I believe we need to draw a red line that tells Iran, if you get to whatever point, whether it's a certain amount of highly enriched uranium, whether it's intelligence that they're on the cusp of the capability of developing a nuclear weapon, that we will take military action.
Well, we have some allies in the Middle East, like Israel, our closest ally, and we have to make sure that none of the Middle Eastern countries can obtain nuclear weapons. That has got to be our priority. And our allies like Israel, we've got to have their back.
Iran, just one of the issues we asked them about, but again, both candidates say the #1 issue with voters is the economy.
Heavy traffic in most of the usual spots this afternoon, but though do have a fender bender on I-15 right at Spring Mountain. Let's check in with Ken Smith up in Chopper 8.
Yeah, at least it's out at Sahara for a change. We usually get about 3 to 4 accidents on average a day, and I know, Denise, you were asking if NDOT has any plans to try to kind of alleviate or maybe fix some of the issues here on I-15 between Spring Mountain and Charleston Boulevard, where we get so many accidents. And really the bottom line is, until the freeway gets widened with Project Neon, which on the road, there really isn't a lot NDOT can do. You can't fix bad driving habits, which is mostly people tailgating. And we got a lot of folks here tailgating here on the northbound side of I-15 with very slow delays from just north of Flamingo past Spring Mountain and all the way into the Spaghetti Bowl. Speaking of the Spaghetti Bowl, we have a live shot here this afternoon from our fast camera system showing you heavy delays on southbound I-15 if you're going to be coming out of the Spaghetti Bowl. We got too many cars here as well, not enough freeway, and these delays continue on down to about Sahara. Sahara tends to be the ground zero of all our problems here on Interstate 15, which is why I generally call it the Bermuda Triangle of traffic. Reporting live here over the interstate, I'm Ken Smith, 8 News Now.
All right, Ken, thank you. Near Cheyenne on the 95, there's a situation that's driving at least one viewer crazy. It's a perfect cocktail of confusion with lack of signs, closures, and detours. Traffic anchor Brian Loftus shows us the work that's been completed to make things a little bit easier on drivers.
Question is, what rocket scientists decided to close southbound on-ramp from westbound Cheyenne onto 95? You can only get on if you're going east, not west, meaning you have to flip a U-turn at Tenaya, which is a busy intersection. Someone has messed this up. Well, not entirely true. This was a necessary closure, and signage was supposed to be there to help you with this closure and detour. I can't be certain if it was in place because the work here, well, it's all done. NDOT opened the Cheyenne Loop ramp last Thursday, which allows for westbound Cheyenne traffic to access southbound 95. We could also see there are signs there alerting drivers to get into the right lane and use the new loop ramp. I used to get complaints that the merging distance for the Cheyenne on-ramp was too short. The ramp is now wider, longer, and hopefully safer, and the new loop ramp will now accommodate that heavy westbound Cheyenne movement to southbound 95. This one ramp just got easier and safer. Take the loop. It's wide open now. What's driving you crazy? Send along the question to traffic8@8newsnow.com.
And we want to remind you every Monday through Friday right here on Channel 8, Brian helps navigate the maze of traffic on 8 News Now this morning. Killed in a shark attack. The bite marks on a surfboard and what they tell one shark researcher about what killed a man off the coast of California.
And high school sex statistics. The subdued reaction from a school superintendent over a fantasy league that is raising a lot of eyebrows with parents.
Beat the Traffic is brought to you by attorney Edward M. Bernstein.
Prostitution.
Like most people, I don't like it.
Evading law enforcement. Until now.
One would assume that they're hiding some money.
An I-Team exclusive. Insider secrets of the out-call business. Today at 5 on 8 News Now. Look for Paula's health notes at 8newsnow.com. Now, breaking news from Channel 8 News Now.
A motorcycle accident, never a good thing. Ken Smith's over one now.
Yeah, it's really backing up traffic along the 95. Ken?
Yeah, this is going to be on US 95 on the southbound side here, right at Valley View, just past Valley View, actually, right here in the middle of all these travel lanes here on the freeway here. Here's the motorcycle itself here that's actually on the ground and rather crumpled up here. It looks like at least 2 people are being treated out here in the middle of the freeway lanes. Once again, this is 95 as you make the journey southbound right here past Valley View. So multiple lanes shut down. How is it affecting the drive here? We'll have more details coming up, but right now it is just gridlock conditions all the way back from before Decatur all the way to past Valley View as you approach the Spaghetti Bowl this afternoon. Definitely find your alternate route. If you know anybody that normally travels this way, definitely tell them to take a different way. We'll have another update coming up within about 10 minutes or so. Reporting live here over the 95, I'm Ken Smith, 8 News Now.
Ken, thank you. The arrest this week of a New York City police officer is like something straight out of Criminal Minds or any other crime drama. This is chilling. The FBI says Officer Gilberto Valle plotted to kidnap women and then rape them and torture them, and to top it all off, he planned to cook and eat their body parts. He was arrested yesterday. According to the criminal complaint, the FBI intercepted emails from Valle to someone about his plans. It's important to note that no women were actually ever harmed. Gilberto Valle is a patrolman who lives in Queens and was assigned to a Manhattan precinct. He's been suspended from the police force. The superintendent of a San Francisco Bay Area school district is calling a story about a high school sex league sensationalism.
In fact, we first told you about this last week. Piedmont High School athletes created a statistics-based fantasy sex league. Piedmont, by the way, is right near Oakland. In the league, the teenage boys awarded points when girls the boys drafted were rumored to engage in sexual activity.
Now, last night at a school board meeting, the superintendent says the district doesn't condone the students' behavior, but that good kids, quote, can make mistakes.
Not many parents are happy with that response. Pink isn't exactly the color that you think of when you think about, football, but those burly men will be seeing more of it this weekend. The inspirational story that is bringing pink to the NFL.
And check this out, just how close that hot lava is from spilling over.
Nevada's first choice for news. This is Channel 8 News Now at 4:30.
California man died this week while he was surfing off the coast of Santa Barbara.
We first told you about the story on Tuesday, just a few hours after this 39-year-old surfer was attacked. Now the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office has released a photo showing marks from the shark's teeth on the bottom of his surfboard. So a shark researcher determined just by looking at the surfboard, it's the work of possibly a 15, maybe as long as 16-foot great white shark. Let's get an idea just how big a 15-foot shark is. Denise, if you will, and David, if you could help us out here. Let's measure out 15 feet. Just how big, keep going, right there. 15, 16 feet, folks. That's how big, that's a huge fish. And they're wide, too. Mm-hmm. Poor guy. Took a bite out of the surfboard and killed the 39-year-old surfer off the coast of California. Bad news. All right, well, that's our visual for what exactly happened to that surfer. We'll talk about a different type of Mother Nature now. Tourists and people living on the big island of Hawaii getting a pretty nice show. The Kilauea volcano erupting at not one but 2 craters right now. Folks in Hawaii are able to see some of the lava from the observation deck at the national park. The lava rising so high, it's only about 100 feet from spilling over. The last time it spilled onto the crater floor was in 1982, and before that, 1974. So if you listen real closely, you can kind of hear sort of those booming noises.
Those sounds are actually the walls crumbling, the earth melting, literally moving. If you're headed to the Big Island anytime soon, the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is open, by the way, 24 hours. We're told at night is really a cool time to see it. If I had a choice, I think I'd be more scared of a shark that's 16 feet long, because at least the volcano, I don't have to get too close to the lava, right?
Yeah, that's probably a good choice there.
Scary.
Darren, what do you think of the size of that fish?
Wow.
Incredible, yes. You know, I've been to Hawaii like 5 times, and every time I've gone, I went to Honolulu. I've never gone to the Big Island to see that, so I should check that out one time when I go there. All right, outside this afternoon, you really can't complain about the weather. Again, it's absolutely beautiful. It's very cool outside, but this won't last much longer because high pressure is going to build back in, and we have another warming trend heading our way as we head towards the weekend. All right, there's a live look outside. The winds are not a problem really this morning or this afternoon, but it's really tomorrow, though. We're going to notice the winds pick up again. In fact, if you're heading down towards the river, maybe Lake Mead, Lake Havasu, you're going to have wind gusts up near 30, 40 miles an hour off and on all day. So 69 degrees out at the airport. Again, that's about 8 degrees cooler than normal. We've got a lot of lower 70s out there. East Washington 72, East Domingo 73. Out towards the lake, you're at 74. Plenty of sunshine. It's absolutely beautiful out there. You can see down toward the south, out towards the airport, temperatures in the upper 60s. And then you head outside the valley. You've got Searchlight, you're at 65. Prump, you're in the upper 60s. Beatty, you're in the mid 60s. And again, you head down towards Sandy Valley, the current temperature at 69 degrees. All right, here we go. We have a wind advisory. They'll go into effect tomorrow at 9 a.m. All the way down towards Laughlin and Needles because we're going to see these wind gusts out of the north. Those will be cool winds out of the north, gusting up near 45 miles per hour. And there's a red flag warning in effect for high fire danger because we're going to have very low humidity with these gusty winds. So again, tomorrow down near the lake, you put the wind cast in motion. So not a problem really here in the valley, although tomorrow we'll still have the winds as well. They'll be gusting up near 20 miles per hour, but it's really down the south near Lake Mead, Lake Havasu, Needles. You're going to have wind gusts up near 40 miles per hour at times. As far as the rest of the nation, relatively quiet until you head over towards Minneapolis along a cold front here. That'll be a big player as it interacts with this hurricane early next week. Right now you can see some snow showers on the back end of that air flow pressure and that cold front kind of pushing off towards the east. So there it is, Hurricane Sandy. Right now it's a Category 2 hurricane, winds of 105 miles per hour. We think it will weaken and push to the north, and then at some point it becomes a Category 1 hurricane. But the problem is that we have this cold front back towards the west. That cold front's going to interact with that hurricane, as can produce a big problem along the east coast early next week. So get ready for that. We'll drop down to 51 tonight. Clear and breezy, still gust up near 25 miles per hour. Now tomorrow we think will be cooler than today with a high of only 67, cool and breezy. That's still 10 degrees below normal. Enjoy the 60s tomorrow. It will be breezy because here comes the 70 forecast and we're going to start to warm things up again. 67 tomorrow, 74 on Saturday, and then as you head towards all of next week for, you can see for Halloween, temperatures start to warm back up into the upper 70s and lower 80s. So a beautiful forecast, but again, tomorrow a bit cool out there and down towards the lake, near Lake Mead and Havasu, we're going to have wind gusts up near 40 miles per hour. That's it for right now. Back to you guys.
Darren, thank you.
NFL going pink thanks to a thoughtful New Jersey boy.
11-year-old Dante Cano sat down and wrote Commissioner Roger Goodell a letter. He wrote, why not have the refs throw pink penalty flags instead of yellow to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month? Well, the NFL quickly responded saying yes, and Dante's dad was actually more excited than his son.
And I'm in the car, it's like, dude, do you understand what's going on? This is so cool.
Young Dante was inspired by his 14-year-old sister who suffers from Aicardi syndrome. She can't walk or talk, and writing that letter was Dante's way of helping her and others like her. Pink penalty flags, look for them this Sunday during the Jets-Dolphins game.
That's right, Dad. That is very cool. Good for him.
It is very nice and thoughtful young boy.
That is for sure. Let's get another check of our traffic this afternoon. Ken Smith up in Chopper 8.
Yeah, we got this accident down below us here involving a motorcyclist and one other vehicle. And one bit of good news, they've already moved the motorcycle off to the right-hand side of the roadway. And also the 2 folks that were injured in this accident also have been transported off to the hospital. Earlier video I shot in Chopper 8. You can check out the activity here this afternoon. There's the motorcycle that actually went off onto the ground itself there. There's one person, and there's the second person that was loaded up just in the last few minutes onto the gurney and off to the hospital this afternoon. Now, I want to show you back on a live shot out here of these big delays here on 95. This is going to be 95 heading southbound, and these delays start back from almost Jones Boulevard now, from just approaching to Decatur, right between the two, all the way out here to approaching the Spaghetti Bowl. One highway to avoid. All these lanes should be back open in the next few minutes, but in the meantime, you may want to avoid this if you don't want to waste about an hour's worth of time. That's about how long it'll take if you get stuck in this mess. Reporting live here over US 95, I'm Ken Smith. 8 News Now.
Ken, thank you. A warranty dilemma. A viewer contacted Michelle for help when a frequently used appliance needed repair. The fix, 8 on your side, secured only after getting the runaround.
And coming up here at 5, chimps living close to neighbors in one area of Las Vegas. The I-Team uncovers just how close these wild animals are to children and one man's fight to keep them. Well, if traveling is your thing, then American Airlines might be the place to look for work, even though they're bankrupt. The airline plans to hire at least 1,500 new flight attendants over the next year, 2,500 pilots over the next 5 years, as it adds more international flights. I'm not sure how that works, but they're hiring.
It's not quite travel, but it is high-tech. Microsoft Corporation finally launching the Windows 8 operating system today. It's considered the most dramatic overhaul of the operating system in 17 years. The system will not only run on its computers, but tablets and PCs. Another separate version of the Windows 8 is being released for smartphones next week. The system, if you want it, will be available tomorrow. Now, whether it's a scam or you've been ripped off, Michelle Mortensen is working to get results for people all over the valley.
In today's 8 on Your Sides report, she's helping a local woman get a much-needed washer and dryer repair after going through a bit of a runaround.
Whenever you buy an appliance with a warranty, you assume that warranty will protect you if something goes wrong. But what if it doesn't? What if you call and call and call the company, but they never show up to make the repair? Well, that's what happened to Margaret Morrissey until we got on her side. Doing the laundry is a necessity, but for Margaret Morrissey, it became an impossibility.
The washer had a tub inside. When you wash on large, it
wasn't working properly, and the dryer only blew cold air. So she called Western Appliances, the shop where she bought it from, for $200. She had a warranty and scheduled a repair. Did he ever come?
No.
So she asked 8 on Your Side to step in. We went to their location to pay them a visit, but got a big surprise.
This is for some of my basic forming and seaming.
It's the home of a sheet metal shop, not Western Appliances. Dennis Oliver, owner of True Fit Sheet Metal, says we weren't the first people to stop by looking for the appliance shop.
One officer come in and asked if this was Western Appliance, and I said, no, it's not, but you're about the 20th person lately who's come in and asked the same question.
We called up Western Appliances and asked, where are you located? They said the 4600 block of Alexander. Guess what? It doesn't exist, at least not on the western part, so we headed east. It wasn't there either, so we called them again.
We were at 4370.
And that address did exist. But as you can see, there's not much here. Just a bunch of spare parts and an empty parking lot. And that may be because Western Appliances told me
we're out of business, doll.
But Margaret still had a 90-day warranty. And after talking to the folks at Western Appliances about her situation, they agreed to fix the washer and dryer.
They came in, pulled it apart, and fixed it.
And if you have a problem like Margaret did, we'll be on your side too. Give us a call at 650-1907.
Thousands of Nevadans still without jobs.
Their frustrations, that's next at 5 o'clock.
Chimps secretly living in one Las Vegas neighborhood.
They have a right to know that in their neighborhood there's 3 chimps living.
The I-Team uncovers the dangerous history of some of the owner's other animals and his fight to keep his chimps on his property.
Families left in limbo. The decision today that will continue to halt investigations into officer-involved shootings. And the quick fix that could get the families involved the closure they need.
The dark side of Las Vegas exposed.
He told me it was an escort service, and I said, I think that's prostitution.
A major player in the adult entertainment industry tells the I-Team what she saw inside her own club that now has her helping the feds take down the sex trade.
Now, Nevada's first choice for news. This is Channel 8 News Now at 5.
Thanks for joining us. Chimpanzees in local neighborhoods. Some love the idea, some hate it. Now a man wants to keep 4 chimps in his neighborhood, and one county commissioner is dead set against the idea.
Well, the man has reportedly no business license, no wild animal permit, but worse than that, some chimps he's raised have a history of escaping, and one mutilated a woman. Other chimpanzees living in neighborhoods have also come under scrutiny this year, especially after 2 escapes in the Northwest. One resulted in the shooting death of a chimp named Buddy. The I-Team's Nathan Baca shows how one neighborhood may find itself in danger.
Well, Dave, neighbors here in this southwest Las Vegas neighborhood on Robindale at Decatur are getting flyers just like these. Animal rights activists say chimps have been raised secretly in the neighborhood without a permit.
It looks like many other homes along Robindale Road, but in the back of this 2.5-acre property, there's empty cages. But what's inside this vehicle, parked in back, is now the focus of community activists. James Mike Casey owns that vehicle, and according to federal inspection records, stores multiple chimpanzees in there. Casey's chimps have their own Facebook page. They star in television ads.
You can even sign up to have the latest flight info sent to you by text message.
And can be rented for Las Vegas children's parties under the business name A Great Ape Experience. Problem is,
doesn't have a business license.
Clark County Commissioner Steve Sisolak points out Mike Casey has a history. In 2009, a chimp born at Casey's Missouri ranch mutilated a woman's face, nearly killing her. In 2001, another chimp owned by Casey escaped and was shot dead. There have been no incidents with Casey's chimps in Nevada. However, with memories of Buddy the chimp's death and an unrelated escape this July still fresh, animal welfare activist Linda Faso is reaching out to neighbors.
He needs to have those animals somewhere where they can be safely secured and not in close to a neighborhood in case they get loose.
The chimps are about to get a lot more neighbors with several homes under construction just next door. We went to the house. Owner Stacy Jones told us Mike Casey was not available. The Clark County Commission will decide November 21st whether to allow Casey's chimps to stay.
He's not licensed to have any chimps on the property. There's a question regarding animal control about the housing and the safety of it. What he has now, inside the fence structure, he's got an RV that he's put in there, and he's got cages inside the RVs that the chimps apparently go in the RV and then go in a cage, which isn't an acceptable way.
We reached out to Mike Casey again by phone today. So far, we have received no answer. Now, we have information on the meetings that will decide whether Casey gets to keep the chimps in Las Vegas on our website. That's 8newsnow.com. The keyword is chimp. Paula?
Thanks, Nathan. It's back to the drawing board for the coroner's inquest. Clark County's system of reviewing the use of lethal force by police officers was ruled unconstitutional by the Nevada Supreme Court. Aaron Drohorn found out why the justices struck down the inquest and where the controversial process goes from here. Aaron.
Paula, Nevada's High Court found the coroner's inquest did not violate the due process rights of some NHP troopers. They had sued because they had some problems with the new inquest system, but the justices do have concerns with who would run the inquest.
A traffic nightmare 2 years ago on US 95 is where this legal case all began. A chemical spill first stalled traffic, setting off more trouble when authorities say a driver got in a freeway fight. NHP used the taser on 21-year-old Eduardo Lopez Hernandez and he died. Those troopers sued, believing the revamped coroner's inquest process to review their actions was unfair to them. The Supreme Court disagreed but did strike down the whole inquest for one reason.
They found that the provision which allows for a justice of the peace to preside over the hearing to be unlawful.
District Attorney Steve Wilson has reviewed and cleared 17 deadly officer-involved shootings since legal challenges stopped inquest in 2010. Families of those shot dead by police thought the process needed to include their side, but police feared they would be unfairly targeted, halting the hearings.
I think everybody wants an open, transparent process where information is provided when an officer-involved use of force death occurs. We need to know what happened.
The quick fix would be to appoint someone else besides a justice of the peace to run the inquest, but that may not be easy, according to Commissioner Steve Sisolak.
We had a tough time appointing the ombuds people that are going to ask the questions. If you talk about the hearing message, can hear the entire shooting, that's a huge responsibility.
We're still waiting on comment from the police union and Metro. Meantime, about 20 shooting cases still need to be reviewed in an inquest under the law. Commissioner Sisolak says commissioners will get a closed-door briefing on what this legal development means at their next meeting. Dave.
Thanks, Sharon. Well, a woman who admitted to killing her boyfriend may plead guilty now to a lesser charge. 36-year-old Tammy Lucero was charged with the murder of David Hudson back in August. The death actually happened back in May, though. Lucero told police that she wrapped a computer cord around his neck and held it there until he stopped breathing, but she says only after Hudson started pushing and hitting her. Her injuries were consistent with that kind of attack. Well, today Lucero appeared in court and has agreed to plead guilty to voluntary manslaughter instead of murder. A court date for that is scheduled for November.
A grand jury indicted 4 men for kidnapping a Henderson teen and holding her for ransom. These 4 are facing several felony charges for the September kidnapping of 17-year-old Melissa Duran. Melissa was grabbed from her Henderson home after answering the door. Phone calls made to her parents demanded money for her safe return. Police found her almost a day later being held in an apartment complex near Stewart and Eastern. She was safe. All 4 men are currently in the Clark County Detention Center on $2 million bail.
Nevadans may be more comfortable spending their money on big purchases, especially when it comes to cars. Sales of cars and vehicle parts surged 21.6% in the month of August. The numbers are details in the new taxable sales report. Now, other big winners include building and garden equipment sales, up 36.9%, and clothing sales, which were up 10.3%. Overall, Nevadans spend more than $3.6 billion in August.
Thousands of Nevadans still without a job.
I'm Cassandra Garcia. I'll show you the roadblocks many are running into when trying to find work here, and I'll show you why this plot of land here could help many of them finding a chance at work.
The Vegas says daily deal at deals.8newsnow.com.
Incumbent Congressman Joe Heck has a commanding lead over Democratic challenger John Oseguera. New 8 News Now Review Journal poll found Heck leading by 10 points, 50% to 40%. The margin of error was 4.5%. Our poll also showed that the top issue for Nevadans this election season is jobs. Healthcare was a distant second.
Of course, a lot of Nevadans are still struggling to find work, but there are some signs that the job market is recovering. Reporter Cassandra Garcia is live at the intersection of Blue Diamond and Rainbow, where hundreds of jobs may soon be coming. Cassandra?
Well, Walmart announced this week that this plot of land that you see behind me here will be the site of a new Walmart supercenter. It will be 170,000 square feet and bring about 300 full and part-time jobs. Analysts say jobs are making their way back to Southern Nevada, but many struggling to find a job don't seem to agree. Job creation is weighing on many people's minds this election season. Right now, Nevada's unemployment rate sits at more than 11%. Brian Gordon with Applied Analysis says that trend may be changing and new jobs are on the horizon.
What we've seen over the past 15 consecutive months is year-over-year increases in the overall employment. So that's a positive sign that things are moving in a right direction.
Among the areas Gordon says may see job growth, leisure and hospitality. In the height of the recession, jobs in that industry took a major hit.
We have almost 40 million visitors coming to Southern Nevada, so a lot of the hotel and gaming companies are adding back staff and picking up employees.
Others seeing some recovery are retail, education, health services, and construction. But even with that outlook, the reality for many is still frustrating.
This is the hardest it's ever been for me because I've always had a job up until April, and I'm a single parent. I have, a little boy, he's 5 years old, and it's been really hard for me, just to make it on, that little income I have coming in.
Like Susan, David says he's hit dead end after dead end while job hunting.
It has its ins and outs. As you notice, once you put application out into whatever employer, you're back into a pool full of applicants.
Both say there doesn't seem to be any relief in sight.
No, I don't think it's going to get easier. I mean, not with the little job creation I've seen. I don't think it's going to get any better.
Now, 8 News Now spoke with Steve Hill, the executive director of the Governor's Office of Economic Development in Nevada. He says the state has eliminated 600 regulations and modified 1,000 in the past year to make the state more attractive to businesses. Hill says Governor Brian Sandoval made a trip to Canada this week to meet with the Canadian ambassador to the U.S. There, he also met with video game companies in Vancouver. that are interested in bringing jobs to Southern Nevada. And in case you are wondering, the Walmart plan for this site is going to be about 10 months to a year in construction after ground is broken here. That, though, has not officially been planned yet.
Thanks, Cassandra. The secrets of the adult entertainment industry uncovered. The I-Team speaks to one strip club owner about the mask which prostitution continues to operate under, despite repeated crackdowns, and how some are trying to cover up the millions they make in the illegal business. Player in the Las Vegas adult entertainment industry is now exposing the rampant prostitution that masquerades as outcall entertainment.
That is, the companies that send girls directly to your room or home. Dolores Eliadis, whose family name is almost synonymous with adult nightclubs in Las Vegas, is cooperating with the IRS and Metro Vice in a probe of alleged money laundering by the owners of the outcall services. She told us the outcall racket is out of control and is a threat to Las Vegas itself. Eliadis spoke exclusively with George Knapp of the I-Team.
Well, as we know, Dolores Eliadis has owned and managed strip clubs for years. Her family has been in the business even longer. She is so well aware that sex is part of the Las Vegas image. She's certainly no prude, but thinks the outcall business is a blight. The handbillers, the smutty news racks, the rolling billboards advertising hookers, that could hurt our town in the long run, she says. It's one reason she showed up at the office of the IRS one day and spilled a sordid pile of beans about how the outcall business has invaded the strip clubs.
I mean, are you in danger?
I believe so, yes.
For cooperating?
I believe so, yes.
Interfere with someone's ability to earn millions of dollars in the sex industry, as Dolores Eliadis has, and there are bound to be consequences. She's already been warned.
Yeah, I better be careful that my life isn't worth much anymore. Yes.
Eliadis is a rarity, a woman who succeeded in the decidedly male world of strip club owners and operators. She's been both manager and part owner of two of the most successful topless joints in town, Olympic Garden and Sapphires. Earlier this month, Eliadis' name surfaced in a criminal complaint filed in federal court, not as a target, but as a voluntary witness against another veteran of the adult scene, Manny Varagianis, who'd been the general manager at Olympic Garden, but was also secretly running another business, lawmen say, an outcall service called Midnight Entertainers. According to the Financial Crimes Task Force, that business, like most, if not all, outcall services here, is a thinly disguised front for prostitution. The handbillers pushing smutty pamphlets on the strip and the taxi drivers who accept referral fees all know what the business is. Eliadis says her friend and co-worker admitted as much.
He had came to me and told me he was going to go into the outcall business. We were friends, and I asked him what it was, and he told me it was an escort service, and I said, I think that's prostitution, isn't it? I mean, that's what I'd always heard. And he says, well, it does take place.
Whatever service it provides, Midnight is still up and running, even after Varagianis' arrest. Call the number and they'll still send an entertainer to your hotel room. Lawyers for the defendant noted in court that Manny's name appears nowhere on any ownership documents, but the complaint alleges he and his wife control the flow of cash. The IRS and Metro were watching as Varagianis allegedly tried to hide more than $1.8 million in different accounts by making deposits under the $10,000 limit, sometimes several deposits per day into each account. Eliadis says she saw the piles of money with her own eyes.
He counted money in front of me on several occasions, and I understood it was from the evening before, and it was sometimes in excess of 20 or 30,000. So I had an idea that they were making, you know, a good deal of money from the
Huge
service.
amounts of cash.
Huge, and I seemed to believe that it was after they were paying transportation.
By transportation, she means kickbacks to cab and limo drivers, up to $200 per referral. At one point, Eliadis says, Varagianis offered her 30% of a new outcall company he planned to open.
Well, he told me that they charge the customer $300. So if you're giving them half or better than half, where are you making your money on? And that's what I asked him. You're operating on less than 50%, and he said we make it from other things. And I took that to mean what I believe it means.
Sex.
Sex.
When Varagianis started placing his out-call girls inside the Olympic Garden, which has both liquor and gaming licenses, Eliada says she decided to go to the IRS. Having women openly solicit for prostitution inside the club would be a serious problem, she figured.
I thought it endangered the license of the club and my license, even though I'm not there. And it was a grave concern to me, and so I cooperated.
Eliada says she was offered immunity by the IRS, but she declined, in part because she is also entangled in a vicious legal fight with her father, Pete Eliadis, in federal bankruptcy court. Manny Varagianis has been charged with what's called structuring, a form of money laundering. He surrendered his key employee license from the strip club after his arrest. Eliadis thinks the owners of alcohol companies should be required to get privileged licenses to give law enforcement more control, and we'll have more on that angle in the days ahead.
Quite an interesting development. Thank you, George.
From Channel 8 News Now, this is Neighborhood Weather with Darren Miller.
All right, so this year is just racing by. We're getting close to wrapping up the month of October. And as far as temperatures, the temperatures have really been all over the place. We've had highs in the 90s, highs in the 80s and 70s. And now today, highs are only kind of hovering in the upper 60s. And we have another cool day tomorrow with a lot of wind. And then we're going to quiet things down and see a warming 10 in the 7-day forecast. So here are the numbers outside right now. They're pleasant out there. For the third day in a row, temperatures below normal. Normal high is 77. You can see out towards the strip right now, we're at only 69 degrees and lots of lower 70s out there. Lake Mead, you're at 73. Vanawagan, you're at 70. East Washington, 71. You head over towards the west here. A little bit cooler out towards East Flamingo or West Flamingo, you're at 68. Down towards Sandy Ridge, you're at 67. Up towards the Meadows Mall, the upper 60s. So lots of upper 60s and lower 70s. Nice out there. Plenty of sunshine, and the winds are not a problem, but they are going to be a problem for us tomorrow. So Searchlight, you're at 63. Prump, you're at 69. Then you head up towards the top of Mount Charleston. Look at that, in the 30s. The current temperature at only 38 degrees. All right, so there is a wind advisory that'll go into effect tomorrow morning at 9 until 7 p.m. for all the way down towards Laughlin and Needles, Lake Mead, Hoover Dam, because tomorrow the winds are going to be out of the north, gusting up near 45 miles per hour. So that wind advisory will be in effect, and then a red flag warning in effect. That's issued when we have very low humidity and gusty winds that could produce some fire danger. So again, tomorrow down to the south here, if you're heading down towards the river, wind gusts up near 45 miles per hour. In fact, there's the wind cast in motion. Still breezy here this afternoon here in the valley, not a major problem. Tomorrow we're still going to have the wind here as well, but again, the bigger problem will be all the way down toward the south. Maybe as far as boating, choppy waters out there with the winds gusting up near 45 miles per hour. Let's talk about Hurricane Sandy. Have you heard about it? Right now it's a Category 2 hurricane, winds of 105 miles per hour, and this is going to be a problem not only for the East Coast, the southern East Coast, but all the way up towards the northeast all of next week, because this system is going to interact with a cold front. We could see some flooding, a lot of rain, and maybe some snow as well. We'll keep you posted on that. We'll drop down to 51 tonight, clear and breezy, gusts up near 25 miles per hour. Tomorrow, still cool with highs in the upper 60s for Friday, and then there's a look at the 70 forecast. And here comes the warmer temperatures all next week, upper 70s and lower 80s. That's it for right now. Have a great weekend. Dave, back to you.
All right, Darren. Well, seniors being swindled out of their money. The top scams crooks are conning them with, and the help you can get if you ever find yourself a victim.
The man accused of splashing another man with gasoline and then lighting him on fire will likely stay in jail. Patrick Newell's bond is now set at $130,000. He's blamed for the attack at the Circle K at Las Vegas Boulevard and Silverado Ranch earlier this month. Meanwhile, the victim of the attack, Theodore Teddy Bejarano, is making a remarkable recovery. Family members told us today that Teddy has been taken off a breathing machine and could be released from the hospital tomorrow.
Well, more and more Nevadan seniors are apparently being scammed out of their money, and state officials now say they get as many as 4,300 reports a year. Do the math, and that's 12 a day. Today, the Nevada State Contractors and the Health and Human Services Boards partnered together to get the word out about the most common crimes, and those include Medicare scams and contracting scams.
We want them to feel empowered and protect themselves. Too often, we're on the back end of the case.
Contractors Board says they have ways to try and track down the scammer after certain crimes are reported, but they say the best defense is to always take your time when making a decision about contracting work and have a third party look over the contract. We'll be right back. Tonight at 6, a local sportsbook director busted in a national operation. The bold move that helped investigators unravel the scheme. Plus, the money Sheldon Adelson's pumping into the election and the additional support he's giving to at least one of the candidates. CBS Evening News is next.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you at 6.